Hey guys, so what we're going to do today is look at random number generation in Python. Part of the project that we're working on involves generating a random thing. To do that with computers and programming, we use a random number generator. Now, if you've read the material previous to this video, which I hope you have, random numbers in computers are very difficult, if not impossible. Generally, what you have to do is import some kind of number seed, what we call a seed, from outside of the program. I think the example I used was the temperature in Nome, Alaska at any given time. So that's a fairly random number. It might be 46 one day, and it might be 47, and it might be 42, and it might be 20 below. So that we take that seed then and perform mathematical operations to it to give it the number of decimal places or the size that we need. But we use some kind of an algorithm on that random seed to generate a truly random number to fit our needs. Computers are not capable, because they have no intuition and they have no ability to act on their own. They have to have input, so they can't really generate a random number. So for the exercise that we're going to create, we don't really need a truly random number. We're going to generate what we call a pseudo or false random number. It appears random in that it can be 1 or 2 or 3 or 10 or 7 or 6 or whatever, but it's the result of a mathematical algorithm and technically could be repeated. Now, when I say technically, it would take a lot of work, but you could technically predict what the random number was going to be based on seed and things like that. So what we're going to do now is we're going to look at how to generate a random number within a program, because that's actually a very important thing to do, particularly for this project. Before I get too far, the project is a game. Basically, it's a guessing game. We're going to guess a 5-letter word, and we'll have 5 chances, and it will give us clues after the second, third, and fourth and fifth guess. If it takes us that many, essentially we can figure out what the word is based on the clues it gives about what letters we got right, what letters we got wrong. So, but we have to be able to generate a random choice. We have to generate a random word out of a list, or a random choice of a word out of a list. And to do that, we have to have a random number. And so that's why we're starting off here. So let's go ahead and get our programming environment ready. First thing we do is open a command prompt and change the directory to our Python code directory, and then we open up Notepad++. Pardon me. There we go. And we're gonna let's go new. Okay. All right. So in order to create a random number, or even a pseudo-random number, the first thing we're going to have to do is we're going to import the library. Now, we've talked about libraries a little bit, probably not enough at this point. Libraries are code written for Python that can be imported into programs that keep you from having to write code. This particular one uses a fairly complicated mathematical process to generate a pseudo-random number. So we're going to import the random library. To do that, we start off at the top line of our program. We use the keyword import, and then we will, the name of the library is random. So we're going to import random. Let's go ahead and save this, and we're going to save it as game1. Let's see here. We're going to call this game project _1.py. Or how about, oh no, I know better. Let's make just like variables, your file name should also make sense. So let's go project, and then we'll do one random generator. All right, so that actually tells us what we're dealing with here. And we want to make sure, since we're saving this and not resaving it, that we are using the proper py script. So, all right, project 1, random generator. We're going to save that. All right, and when we do, notice how this word turned blue? Once Notepad++ realized that we were writing Python code, it started working with the Python keywords, and it started doing syntax help for us. So, all right, so we've imported the random generator. Now we have to use it. Essentially, it's a library, and it's an object. It's a class created from that object. We're going to do that, and what we're going to do is just print out a random number. So we're going to use the print statement, and we're going to do random, and we're going to pick a random integer. So rand int is the method we're going to use of this class here. It has a static method called randint that we can use. And what we want is one between 1 and 10. So we should be able to print a random number between 1 and 10. Let's go ahead and save it. And we're going to go ahead, it's random, project 1 underscore random generator. So let's go ahead and run it. Project 1. UI. Whoops. Oh, and I forgot. Once again, attention to detail. There's 2 of them. Yeah. See, there's 2 parentheses. There's that one and that one, that one and that one, and I misplaced it. All right, let's try that again. Okay, and this time it picked 9. So by virtue of this mathematical algorithm, it picked the number 9 pseudo-randomly. Let's run it again. And this time it picked 4. And again, and this time it picked 2 and 5. So as you can see, for our purposes, this will work perfectly well. It picks what amounts to a random number. Now, because it's a product of a mathematical algorithm, technically this could be reproduced. It would not be a good thing to use if your program absolutely depended on randomness, like lottery drawings and things like that. This would not be good because somebody technically could figure out how to predict what the next random number was going to be by using the same program, the same libraries, and the same thing. So this would not be a good random number generator for a lottery machine, but it would be really good for the game that we're going to play. So essentially that's the way that we're going to start. That's how we would generate a random number. And let's go ahead and analyze our code. So first of all, we imported the random library. This is what allows us to generate pseudo-random numbers. It's a class, and this class has a static method, or at least it has several. But the one we're concerned about right now is random int, and that lets us pick a random integer between 1 and 10. However, it's not going to, like I said, it's not going to be a perfectly random number because computers can't act with intuition. But every time you run this, every time this method is called, you're going to get a different number between 1 and 10. So every time we rerun the program, we got a 9 and a 2 and a 5 and whatnot. So essentially it's a pretty simple code. We can use this anywhere in a program that we want to generate a random number. Let's look at another method, or another one of the static methods within this class. And this one we're going to look at is random.random. And what this will do is it will give us, excuse me, it will give us a random float instead of a random integer. So let's go ahead and save it. It's going to give us a decimal. Oops. Oh, I had it print that. That's a mistake on my part. Random.random. Did I miss something? Print. Oh, I forgot. I had to make it a method. You have to make this a method. If you just do that, it prints the class designation. Remember we talked about class designation? We looked at where the the object that we were printing out lived in the memory. Well, I just did that. But this is a method, so we have to put the parentheses after it. Now I'm going to go ahead and save it again. And now let's run it one more time here. Oh. There we go. So we get a float somewhere between 0.0 and 1.0. So basically, it could be 0.000000001 all the way up to 0.999999999. That's what that amounts to. So that's how the random float works. Let's do one more exercise here. And we're going to pick a random element out of a list. So let's go back in here and let's create a list. Let's do that with camel notation. That's the right way to do it. And we're going to go cherry. All right, so there's our list of 3 types of fruit. And we're going to print, this time, oops, a random choice. From my list. All right, now this time it should just pick one of those 3. And it should pick a different one every time we run the program. So let's go ahead and try it. And it picked apple, and it picked banana, and it picked cherry, and it picked cherry again, and it picked cherry again, and it picked apple, and it picked cherry, and it picked apple, cherry, banana. All right, as you can see, this is a very useful tool here. This is a very handy thing to have, all things considered. We don't have to write a lot of code, but we can easily pick a random word out of a list, just with basically what amounts to 3 lines of code. So as you can see, this would also probably be really handy for our guess a word project. So we've already written a big part of the project here. Is given a random list of words. We're going to basically pick them out of that random list. We'll pick one word out and then let the user guess what it is. So that is the general idea behind it. That's also the general idea behind random generation in computer programs. All right, guys, so computer programs don't really pick random things, but for our purposes, they do well enough. So we're going to use this random class a lot. In fact, I haven't written a program in forever that didn't generate some kind of random number. Particularly important during games because you need to be able to roll dice, or what amounts to rolling dice. You need to be able to have random aspects in games. And this is a very good way to generate it. Not perfectly true random, but close enough. So anyway, go ahead and complete the exercise and turn your code in, and we'll get started on the next portion of our project. And I hope to see you in class. If you have any questions, remember, I'm available through the Canvas inbox. Have a good day.